raise all kinds of stuff, even some cattle.
Up to you.
I can do it. Are you recording? So here we are today. We're recording with Everett Hay about his life in South Dakota and Oregon. And he's digging through for pictures and things right now. So I was wondering, you were born in 1915?
18?
18.
No, 9.
No, 1915, right?
Yeah, they put another 100 miles on me.
So I was wondering, I wanted to start kind of early in your life. I was wondering, what's your first memory? Do you recall what...
Oh boy, I don't know.
Put you on the spot like that.
Well, I remember I run a needle in my foot when my sister and I were stringing buttons, and somebody came to the door, and so we had to jump up and run and see who was at the door, and I stuck the needle in the carpet and stepped on it when I went to go, in a hurry. And so then they had to take me to the doctor to see if they could get it out again, but they couldn't get it out, so I still have it.
It's still in your foot?
Right in my right foot.
Oh, wow.
So
do you set off metal detectors?
Hmm?
Do you set off metal detectors with that?
No, it's not big enough for that. Okay. It's, but I did break my toe once. I was working for a crane company, and they had outriggers, and they had great big pontoon things there to put the outrigger down on. And the guy I was working with gave it a kick, and it came off and landed on my toe. And I had rubber boots on and broke my toe. So when I went to get it x-rayed, they came and said, "Did you know you had a needle in your foot?" So I said, "I knew about that, but what about my toe?" Anyway, it was broken, but it healed up again. Yeah.
So how old were you when the needle incident happened?
When what?
When the needle went into your foot?
Oh, probably about 2 years old.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Who was at the door?
Huh?
Do you remember who was at the door?
No, I don't remember that. I was screaming by that time.
So that was you and Lois. Was that
Lois, yeah, Lois. She was my older sister. She was about a year and a half older than I, and she always dominated me. She was bigger and stronger and smarter and everything, and so that's the way things went when we were little. When I was about 6 years old, I guess, one morning my father came up and woke up my sister and I early one morning, and said, "I have a surprise downstairs for you." So we went down, and here was a little basket over in the corner there, a wicker clothes basket, and a brand new baby laying in there.
Oh, wow.
That was my sister Aisley. And boy, it surprised us. We had no idea anything like that was going to happen there. They never mentioned babies or anything like that. So anyway, she was the third member of the family then. Well, time went on then, and eventually then we had your grandma Marilyn and Grace.
Yeah.
And that was the family. 5 kids.
And they were all born on the farm, or how did that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they didn't go to hospitals to have babies in those days. They had an old doctor in town. His office was in his back porch. And so my dad had to crank up the old car and go and get him and bring him out. And so he took care of things then. Well, then he had to have a lady to help too, so he got Mrs. Sorsted, who was the wife of the local jeweler. And so she came and took care of my mother then till she, in those days, they required the ladies to stay in bed for 9 days after the baby was born. At the 7th day, they could get up a little bit, but they had to stay in bed. That was the way they did things in those days. Nowadays, they get up the next morning or the same day or whatever. Yeah. Well, that was the beginnings.
Now, when did your dad build the house on the farm?
That was in 1917.
Okay.
Yeah, that's a picture of
So you were
the house.
before
The
that
house there. There's a couple of things right above your head there. Those big. There, just pull them out. Yeah, there's a picture there. One of them. Yeah, that's not it. I think it's probably in this one here.
Here, I just want to show. Can you show these pictures to the camera, like the farm?
Let's see. Oh yeah, that's a picture.
So that's the farm.
That's the farm
from 1917.
And here's a picture of the last reunion in there.
Oh yeah.
Did you see that?
See, that's from the latest one?
That's the one that is in July.
Oh, yeah. So who sent this to you? Who sent this?
Huh?
Who sent this to you?
Doug,
Oh, okay.
his oldest son.
Yeah, I was wondering if they took a group photo.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a better picture. Better picture of the house there.
The house, yeah.
Yeah, that was built in 1917, and he paid the cash for the thing at $5,000.
So now, what house were you born in?
The one before this.
Okay. It was on the same spot? Or?
They tore the house down and rebuilt it on top,
Okay.
foundation there. But he had a cattle sale, purebred cattle, and had enough money to pay for the house, and bought a new car, and took a trip to the Black Hills, the family.
What kind of car did he buy?
1917 Buick,
Oh, yeah. Well, what color was it?
touring black.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah,
It just came in black color?
yeah, it was the going color in those days.
Yeah. So who built the house before this one? Do you know?
I think a couple of men who were surveyors there when the land was still first opened up. They surveyed the land and laid out the quarter section and all that. And they had to have a place to stay, so they built that house there on that property there. They were the first ones. Then another family moved out there from Wisconsin named Kuhn, K-U-H-N. And anyway, they built the barn and other things there, and that was long about 1890
Oh, okay.
when that was built. And our neighbor, who was an old man when I was a kid, had worked for them. He was anyway, he had worked for the surveyors, and they had to dig down and put a rock on the quarter section lines, and that was then if anybody wanted to survey after that, then they dig down and find that rock, and that's where they started measuring from for their 160 rods or whatever. So yeah, it was all laid out in sections. But because of the curvature of the earth, some quarter sections of land were, because of the curves, the lines, some of them were short. And they always would say on the title of the land, they would say more or less. it might be a few acres more or it might be a few acres less because of the curvature. They wasn't all square. So anyway, when you buy some land now, you notice that'll be either more or less. Some of the quarter sections were probably maybe 10 acres short, and then the other one there, he would be 10 acres longer than this. So that's the way they measured land, and the way it was laid out, every section line was supposed to have a road, and our north line we had a half a mile there, 320 acres, and my dad had there, and the north line should have had a road, but it was nothing. It was just a prairie.